everybody, how's it going? Today we are talking about Season 3 of Castlevania. For those who don't know, Castlevania has gotten its own animated series. It's been doing its thing for the past 2 years, I believe. And I wasn't going to talk about Castlevania, but I have to. After watching this season, I am obligated to talk about this fantastic show. It's one of the best animated things on Netflix. It's one of the best video game adaptations, period. The studio who does this, you can tell that they have a lot of passion and care for the Castlevania property. They understand it. They know the monsters. They know how to put just enough of references in to where it doesn't spoil the show. And that level of care, I mean, that gets me excited to know that these folks know what they're doing. So a quick recap leading up to this point. So I will avoid spoilers. This is just general synopsis, if that's the plural synopsis, synopsi, I don't know. But Season 1 was establishing main characters, Sypha, Trevor Belmont, Dracula, Alucard. Season 2 leads into facing Dracula and how he's trying to get this vampire army. Season 3 is dealing with the fallout of that. So that being said, Season 1 was a build-up season, while Season 2 was a payoff. And I thought that Season 2 would be the end of the series. I was wrong. Season 3 is kind of like, okay, we're picking up the pieces, and now we're taking our characters and building up to an even bigger story in Season 4. And I predict that Season 5 will probably be the end of it. I mean, I have no, information to back that claim up. That's just my expectation, because I get the vibe that Season 3 is raising the stakes, establishing more characters, moving us in the direction of, okay, there'll be one big confrontation, not one, but a climax, and Season 4 will be the big payoff to it. So those are my guesses. So I'm just prattling on. I'll start getting into the details of why I recommend this show. Number 1, the animation. It's gorgeous. It is absolutely wonderful. It's got this pseudo-anime vibe to it with the movement, how fluid it is. It actually reminds me a lot of Madhouse with One Punch Man, especially in Season 3. There were a few battles, and these battles are great. It's demons fighting magicians and wizards and demon hunters. I mean, who doesn't love that? Seeing these humans with their melee weapons and magic weapons fighting these demonic hellish creatures. It's just fantastic. And again, this is based on Castlevania, the video game series. And I don't know much about the game. I know, of course, of Dracula's in it. I played Castlevania Aria of Sorrow, or Aria of Sorrow, however you spell that, A-R-I-A, Aria, or more, how do you say it?
Aria.
But, which I love that game. The entire premise of okay, you have vampires, you have demons, you've got demon and vampire hunters, and the action of how this show combines those themes and its visuals is just outstanding. Wonderful shots, rotating shots. I really appreciate how the show understands its surroundings, where it's here's the battleground, and you have Sypha, who's this almost a water firebender. She uses her magic, ice and fire, to fight these demons and monsters, and it's so cool seeing her, how resourceful she is using her magic. How it's okay, this show takes into account all of the details of how you as a viewer can watch these characters do battle, and there really isn't anything left to chance. That's one thing that frustrates me about watching some movies and shows. It's where where's the logic? How'd this happen? Oh, that was lucky kind of stuff. This show explains it so well, where it's no, these are the weapons. This is the strategy these characters are following, and it works. There's a logical flow to it that makes sense and has a really great payoff. I'm obviously tiptoeing around spoilers. I don't want to just explain it all in detail. I want you to see it for yourself. But yeah, just the overall flow of the action, the payoff of it all, the just beautiful colors and lighting. It's just a fantastic show. Visually, it's stunning. I love it. It's one of the best things on Netflix right now. Now, as far as season 3 goes, in particular with stories, spoiler territory for those who've made it this far into the video so far, there are parts that I like and there are parts that I did not care for. Season 1, once more, was a build-up, establishing characters, what they're about, raising the stakes about their past and what they want moving forward. Season 2 was dealing with the entire Dracula thing, talking about the Forge Masters, talking about these other vampires, kind of expanding the world, and how Alucard, Sypha, and Trevor work together to stop Dracula and his vampire horde. Season 3 is we're starting to fragment with these different circle of characters. Isaac is off doing his own demon army. Hector has been picked up by the Vampire Empire, trademark, the Female Vampire Empire League, or whatever they're called. Those 4 vampire chicks, who I love them, by the way. I like what they represent. Each one of them has a strength, and it's cool seeing them bring it to the table. You've got Trevor and Sypha, which this is one of my very small, I wouldn't say even a complaint, just more of an observation. They didn't feel as significant this season as the previous seasons. It almost felt like they were on a bunch of side missions, albeit a major side mission with this demon portal and this new magician guy, and just the knowledge of, oh, there can be portals to hell opened up. That's a big deal. And that will most likely come into play in season 4 or 5 or whatever. So that was cool, seeing those two grow with their relationship, grow as a couple, see them fight monsters, and it's almost like Ghostbusters in a way, where they're like, oh, we're out here to help fight these monsters, we're just here to clean out house and move along. Alucard's story, I did not care for. I love Alucard as a character. I like the idea of this being the son of Dracula. What a position to be in. The son, half human, half vampire, to the greatest vampire of all time. That's huge. What does he do then? This season, he's just standing around the castle with these 2 Japanese human, like, vampire soldiers. They aren't vampires, but they were raised by vampires. And they just hang out with him. And the only thing that really stood out to me is, okay, Alucard is lonely. He's emotional. He's weak in that sense. He's hungry for human interaction, or any interaction with anybody at all, because he's staying at the castle as his own punishment for killing his father. It's almost like his own prison. And these Japanese, like, people, I didn't really care for their performance. I thought they were kind of, like, goofy. And I appreciate that they were being sincere with, like, they're from Japan. This is how a broken accent would sound like for someone from Japan going to Europe. I mean, you can imagine a European going to Japan speaking Japanese. It will not sound proper Japanese. That being said, I appreciate them going the extra mile to maintain that, not illusion, but like that authenticity. But the characters weren't interesting. They fell flat. I thought their logic was weak, where they're like, we're going to kill Alucard because he won't tell us about the castle. It's like, where'd that come from? What? He's being so good to you, and now you're attacking him? That was weird. The Alucard story, overall, very weak. Didn't care for it. The only thing it really served is that, once more, Alucard is emotionally unstable and very lonely. My favorite thing has to be the story following Isaac as a Forge Master, speaking to these different characters, trying to get a better glimpse of humanity, and if he wants to wipe it out, what kind of path does he want to go on? He reminds me of Grey Worm from Game of Thrones, funny enough. Actually, the dialogue in this show reminds me of Game of Thrones back in its golden era, and it's amazing how far Game of Thrones has fallen. And watching this show is like, I miss those good days. Castlevania is knowing how to do proper dialogue and flesh out its characters and raise the stakes and give us a better idea of, like, okay, so this is what this particular character is about, or this one, or that one. And it's like, please don't go the way of Game of Thrones where you just throw it out the window. And I doubt that would be the case. So I'm just going on and on, as you can see. This is very unorthodox as far as me talking about the show. I have no notes. Usually I do. I'm going completely off of memory and opinion. But again, I love this show. I think it's one of the most sincere cartoon not even cartoon. It's a video game adaptation that was animated, and it was done so well. I love animation as a medium, as you all know. I love when people are sincere and have passion when it comes to adaptations. And this one, Castlevania, is the greatest video game adaptation I've ever seen. Better than Sonic by a long shot, better than Warcraft, better than anything. And I think it should be acknowledged, it should be said. So, that all being said, I recommend this show. Check it out. It's all 3 seasons are on Netflix. It's wonderful. I love how smarmy and sincere and fun these characters can be. And the action and the visuals are just top notch. Just wonderful fight scenes. I caught myself watching this show where there are moments where I'm like, cool, cool. Oh, that was cool. Like legitimately just shouting that out while watching the action where I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. And that level of excitement, it felt like a little kid in me, like my kid self is like showing where I'm like, oh, cool, man, the whip is hitting the demons. And I just started laughing where I'm like, I legit love this show. It is fun. And that's the most important thing of all. It's engaging, it's got good characters, and it's fun. And it's beautiful too. So check out Castlevania. I highly recommend it. It had its flaws this season, but not enough to be detrimental to like a halting, screeching halt, if you will. So, all right, that's the video. See you all next time.